All right, EET112 Lab 5. This is part B measurements. So right now what you're seeing on the scope is, I think, the tail end of part A. So we're still at the 10x scope probe setting. So I'm going to move that to the 1x, flip my red switch to 1x, and then go to channel 1 menu and put this back to 1x. So I'm off screen. I need to adjust the scale back down. I'm going to take it off averaging until I'm satisfied that I have a solid acquire menu. Put it on normal until I'm happy with my waveform. So in this first part, we need to measure the VSS for this setting. Okay, so got my solid waveform. Now I will turn on averaging, let it settle out, and then get the peak-to-peak reading, which will be my VSS. So it looks like it's settling out at 5 volts. That's the same as it was before. So 5 volts is my VSS for this one. And so now I want to measure the tau. And the tau is the time it takes it to get from 0 up to 63.2% of my VSS. So I need to take my 5 volts. Yours might be different. You might measure something slightly different. So I'm going to take my 5 volts times 0.632. That gives me 3.16 volts. That's what I need to measure the time it takes to get up to 3.16 volts. So let's spread this out a little bit with the horizontal. Maybe something about like that. Let's turn off averaging again. I don't like the way it keeps jumping. Let it settle. I think I'm going to move my trigger up. That might be part of the problem. Put it right. I'll move the trigger so that it starts right there, that one grid. Okay, and now I will, I'm happy with it. Now I'll turn averaging back on. Averaging is great once you've got a nice, solid, well-triggered waveform. All right, so now we can measure tau. So let's use the cursors. So I'm going to put X, I've got both X and Y on. I'm going to put X1, select it, and put it right where we start the rising edge there. That looks about right. And now I'm going to put Y1, select that, put Y1 at my 6.13, or excuse me, 3.16 volts. And just to repeat, the Y 3.16 volts, because that's my VSS times 0.632. All right, so Y1, let's move it up to 3.16. Right there, and then move X2 to where that intersects my Y1. So just going to eyeball it there. Looks like 5.24 milliseconds. So hopefully you get something in that ballpark. You probably won't be exact, you probably won't, but because I'm using different components than you are, and you should have measured your components, etc. So that looks like I could have gone back a little bit. 5.22 milliseconds. That will be my tau for this first one. And now you're asked to, let's see, do I have this right? Yeah. Now you're asked to change the 1 meg resistor to 470K. All right, so I'm going to turn off my function generator and swap that resistor in. So disconnecting the probe and the function generator, swap in my 470K. Send the breadboard, clip the leads back on. If I could see. I think I've got it. Whoops, sorry. And turn the function generator back on. I'm going to turn off averaging again, just until I'm getting happy with my... All right. So now, my VSS has jumped. Let's turn the horizontal back a few so I can measure the peak to peak. So now it's solidly triggered. I'm triggering right here. And now let's average. Let it settle out, and then we'll take our VSS reading. Looks like it's about 6.8 volts for VSS. This is with the 470K resistor. Hopefully you measured your resistor. Yeah, 6.8. Okay, now I'm going to turn averaging back off. Just because and I'm going to spread it out to measure the tau. So move it back here. I'm going to place that right at where I put the crosshairs for the X1, and then turn averaging back on. Let's see, doing ding, select, and make sure that I have my cursors, X1, make sure it's right where I want it to be there. Whoop, select it. That looks good. Okay. French fries are done. No, just kidding. Let's then put my Y1 needs to be at 63.2% of my VSS. Well, VSS was 6.8 volts times 0.632, 4.298, so 4.3 for me. So I took my 6.8 volt VSS multiplied by 0.632 and I get 4.3 volts. So I need to put Y1 at 4.3 volts. It needs to go up quite a bit. 4.3 there. Now I need to move X2 over to the intersection. So let's move it over there. Eyeballing it here. That looks about as good as I can do without sticking my head in the camera. So from X1 to X2, it's like 3.36 milliseconds. Do I have that right? Let's see. I think that might be closer. .34 milliseconds for my case. Okay, so that's the tau for the 470K resistor case. And again, I'm at 1x scope probe. All right, hopefully that's clear. Let me know if you have any questions.